Much. Welcome again, everyone. We're delighted you're here. Before we move into the program with our presenter, I just wanted to share some highlights that some of you may benefit from in terms of our sustainability programming. And broadly speaking, I feel the need to say just broadly about sustainability. As many of you may agree, it's an ever-evolving, very wide category, kind of like health and wellness. There's lots of subsectors, there's lots of opinions. There's basically, in my opinion, the main thing is carbon is the poster child of sustainability. However, with HAYVN, we like to look at the content, source it, develop it with many subsectors, not just about carbon. Because again, that tends to get the media message, but there's a lot more when you look at the broad point of sustainability. And so with saying that, I also want to share some programming that we've done recently. And if it does resonate with some of you, I would encourage you to visit HAYVN's site. They're all recorded like tonight. And the themes I'm about to mention with the content, they then launch onto YouTube. So an example would be, we had one in January on sustainability with residential homes. That's called Build and Design Trends That Transform Nature in the Built Environment. That was very well. We had lead architect, lead builder. We have the sustainability interior designer in the back as panelists. Another one that might be of interest would be refashioning the future of conscious consumption, but with a focus on fashion, as in the global clothing waste crisis, and much more around those as adjacent spaces. Another one that may resonate with certain people would be eliminating chemicals and empowering water stewardship. Phenomenal presenters, Connecticut State Director on that with Connecticut's water systems, the thing called Forever Chemicals, we probably know that means PFAS, and other, again, adjacent content. So if this may resonate with some of you, I would encourage you again to see on the site. We've got 10 to 12 now recorded events within this broad scope of sustainability, none of them on carbon specifically, because again, I view that as the poster child, but there's so much more in terms of the planet's finite resources and what we're trying to do. And so in saying that, we want tonight to be very interactive with our presenter here. And so don't be shy with questions. We're here, for a limited time, but we want to make it as interactive, but also as productive as possible for you. We don't want to just make it informational, but whether it's a business pursuit or a personal pursuit, a personal passion, please don't be shy. We want to have that kind of interaction. With tonight, the theme is something that you really don't find that often in terms of something that's interactive with an expert. And we'll learn more about that in a minute. This is called Learn How to Shop Your Values with Living on an Affordable Green Budget. We can say we've heard a lot about that. Specifically, there's going to be a focus on your home office with affordability on a green budget, but he's also going to cover some other adjacent spaces to that, which you'll hear about, that do matter on a health level. And that's because of what I'll mention on his background. So that's the theme. And again, we just viewed it, Felicia and I, like you don't see this that often in an interactive forum. It's in the media, it's in articles. So this expert here is here to bring that to life and hopefully have a memorable key takeaway, or several of them. So with that, Brad Kerner, our esteemed presenter, is the founder of Ecoevolution. So it's very broad, but it's also very specific because part of his mission is the circular economy, meaning lifestyle that's either low waste or zero waste. That's part of what he does as this really can't miss storefront on the corner of Washington Street.
It's incredible.
In Sono. That's it, you can't miss it. But also he has it online. He has an artist cooperative of over 40 artisans that refurbish or repackage products that again go with the mantra of, again, doing a low waste lifestyle, adhering to that, keeping it going. Beyond that, he does have an uber specialized coffee bar. I don't have equity in his business, but he does. And they are very particular in how they design specialty coffees, teas, juices. You have to be there to experience it. The third area, I think, is your programming. So he's got entertainment, he's got creative workshops, and other adjacent content spaces as well. So Ecoevolution is kind of like the holistic market position, but he's got these other areas to support it. And now prior to that, this gets very kind of different. He truly is a humanitarian worker. He was at Save the Children. He was an international public health specialist there. His competencies run across adolescent areas, meaning reproductive health, sexual related health. He also worked in HIV with prevention for adolescents again, and involvement in reproductive health for men. That was a Save the Children. Prior to that, he worked at New York Presbyterian Hospital as a health educator. Prior to that, he worked at the Peace Corps as a healthcare professional. He's been to over 25 countries, truly a global citizen of the world. You may all agree, humanitarian worker, but he really has put his feet in full throttle with what he's done. The last part is his academic background, also very multidimensional. He went to Columbia. He has a master's of public health in forced migration and reproduction. Prior to that, he also earned a degree at University of Michigan in kinesiology and exercise science. So multidimensional, this man, for sure.
How did I get here?
And his journey has led us here. And again, we're very pleased to have you here. We're looking forward to a rather lively discussion.
Great.
And please take it away.
All right, well, thank you so much. You spent a lot of time coming to my store twice, talking about what we were gonna talk about. So thanks for your guidance and shepherding us here. So yeah, my name is Brad. Everyone knows me as the Eco Dude. I have my own Instagram handle, the.eco.dude. That's me just being green, loving life. What do we say in the store? Don't be mean, be green. When someone comes in all like, customer service, when someone's all upset, we're like, don't be mean, just be green. Kind of helps actually. But yeah, I started Eco-Evolution during the pandemic. It was I was one of those pandemic stereotypes. I made my own yogurt, I made my own bread, I got chickens, I made a business plan, and then I joined the Great Resignation and opened up a retail store in the middle of a global pandemic. It's not the brightest thing, but it's been interesting. It's like right when retail was dying, I was thinking, this can't be the end of retail. We have to bring community together. If you really care about the environment, you have to care about your community, and you have to have community spaces as platforms for behavior change. And I'm really a behavior change expert. When you talk about reproductive health and public health, behavior change is what I do. So I thought maybe retail would be a good platform to change people's behaviors. Now I just deal with like profit and loss statements, cash flow issues, all that stuff. But what I love about this presentation and it's a bit different than the things I typically talk about is, what I understood was to talk about going green on a budget in your small business or home office. And I know a lot about my own personal space and, products we want to use to go green and how to change your shopping habits. But I kind of wanted to challenge myself and then challenge you as you're all small business owners, and think through, what could you do if you haven't done it already that one would help your B Corp certification, but also just be good and probably the right thing to do. So it got me thinking. I went back in time when I was business planning, because it was very important to me to be an ethical retail store, an ethical business for profit, which I've never worked in my whole life. I was always nonprofit. And so I put together a little list. Well, let me take one step back also how I got here too, because it is important. So, because it is a bit of a jump from doing humanitarian work, reproductive health, to being the eco dude. But literally it was pre-pandemic. I watched a movie called The Plastic Ocean. It's not even available anymore, but you probably can search it through the dark web somewhere. But it really left a huge impact on me. I'm someone who always deeply cared about the environment. So I watch things like that and it hurts. And, my partner at the time was like, all right, let's go to bed. And I was like, we can't go to bed. We gotta do something. What are we gonna do? And I don't know. And at that time she was like, oh no, here he goes again. And I started business planning and trying to think through what we could do. But what I actually started was a blog. And I was an influencer in my neighborhood. It was called My Plastic Free Family Feud. And as one dad takes on his family to take out the plastics, they all hated me for it. And so it was great because every time I shamed my kids or my wife, I got like 300 new followers. It was amazing. It was like the key to being an influencer. I would take pictures of the garbage can, like, she snuck in the deodorant and the plastic stuff. I found it. You know, people love that. But it really, what it did was really get people to open up their eyes and to say, okay. And as we all know, we end up in our own, I call it my echo chamber. Like my echo chamber is all about sustainability. I think everyone knows it. And by doing this, I realized my peers did not think this way. They weren't conscious consumers. They don't go to the grocery store with their own bags or think about, you know, is it okay to put your apple right on the belt and let them check it out and if you're gonna go home and wash it? You know, they were seeing me doing this stuff and like, oh, okay. And I was a guy doing it. It's a very female space. And it's something because of my work in reproductive health and gender that I was like, I'm comfortable with this. I could get everyone to come out of the eco closet and just like love Mama Earth. It's okay. So I went for it and it was really fun. But then that's when I was like, let me flip this into a business. And that's how I ended up combining my love for the earth and the environment and sustainability with my background in behavior change and open up eco-evolution. So there's a card on all your chairs. The back is the QR code to my online store. The good card is this one. If you want to talk to me, it has my phone number on it and a buy one get one free ice cream coupon. Because we do have locally made ice cream. That is pretty delicious. So for this,
dairy-free options?
I have 3 vegan flavors because we're eco-evolution. We always flip the script. And when you come, are you a vegetarian, vegan?
No.
Or just dairy-free? So we upcharge for whole milk in our coffee shop and you get alternative milks for free.
Wow.
Always flipping the script, and that's, people don't even realize it actually, but our milk is organic, local milk. It's delivered in glass bottles and the bottles get picked up and it costs a premium. And guess what, all that like oat milk that other coffee shops charge you $1 for, it actually doesn't cost that much more. So they're making bank on that, they are, and the vegetarians have been paying for it for a long time. So I just flip it. So we honor the vegans and vegetarians. They're doing a great thing for the earth and they get free milk.
What time is the store?
It's in South Norwalk, right on Washington Street. If you know Donovan's, I'm across from Donovan Beadworks. A lot of people know Beadworks.
Oh, yeah, where Beadworks was.
I'm next door to where Beadworks is, yeah. Right there in the heart of Sono. It's a great street. It's a challenging street to be retail, but it's a great street. I do love it there. My vibe is like perfect for the street. So one of the things so I opened this business mainly to reduce the amount of trash and plastic people consume in their everyday life. That was my focus. You know, I didn't want to take on, like you said, sustainability is huge. And I knew I couldn't take it all on. And I felt most comfortable getting people to change their personal behaviors in their homes. And so that's what I was doing. When we were talking about, why did this, you hear new things, at least I do, about plastic everywhere, every single day I hear it. And I'm just always surprised, but I did go to Columbia to get my public health degree, so I get their magazine, and there's always something new. So this is the newest research, which is they're now finding some researchers at Columbia are testing the water inside plastic, water in plastic bottles, and there are microplastics inside that water, but not just the plastic that the bottle's in, which is interesting. So they're finding particles of this PET, this plastic, but other types of plastic, which they now are doing more research, and their theory is it's coming from the plant. Like you were asking me about Poland Springs, it comes from a spring, but it still has to go through some processing. And in that processing, there's other types of plastic that it's getting, that the water touches and gets in the bottles, and we eat those, and they are endocrine disruptors, they're not good for our health, and we know plastics everywhere. If you want to go down the plastic rabbit hole with me, we can do that. But that's what that plastic ocean really opened my mind up to and my eyes up to, and it scared me. It really did. You've all seen the pictures of the fish, like they catch fish and their whole stomach is full of plastic. I mean, those aren't microplastics. Those are huge pieces. These are microplastics. We don't see them. They're smaller than the width of your hair. They're in the rain. They're in the snow. They've tested all this. It's everywhere. So we are consuming it every day, unfortunately. So I don't know, you can do a whole thing probably on wellness and things we should be eating to counteract the toxicity of plastic in our systems. But what I want to talk about is how do we reduce our reliance on some of the stuff, and how do we start thinking about this from a small business perspective. So there's no clock in the room. So someone has to give me like a 15-minute warning, 10-minute warning, and then when the auction's about to hit, we end, right? Because I have to bid on it, because I sell stuff. So what time is it now?
It's 6:30.
6:30? Okay. I think we're good. I'm doing like David Letterman style. I made a top 10 list. I'm just gonna go down my top 10. I did a lot of this yesterday, just like thinking through when I was starting my business, how did I want to be an ethical business that also had a focus on reduction of fossil fuels. And so these are not going to be maybe what you guys thought I was coming to speak about, like cleaning products and all that. I'm a little out there, and I'm not the expert on everything I'm suggesting, so it can be a conversation. So the number one, top 10, didn't David Letterman always start with like a drum roll? So the drum roll is, where do you do your banking for your small business? It's huge. You know, we could stop using plastic bottles, but if you're at the big banks, your money is in the places that are investing in fossil fuel industry. And so that was something really important to me when I started doing again, this is only a business plan during COVID would go this deep. It was like 50 pages, because I was thinking about this stuff.
Can you like put this list and like email it?
Yes, I will write the top 10.
Something like that, like.
Yeah, I'll email it to you after. It's all written in my iPhone, I'll text it to you.
Alright, thanks.
Okay, so a quick search. You can do a quick search on, the top 10 worst banks investing in fossil fuels, and it will show you. And it's, they call it divesting. You want to divest your money in these banks. And I had a hard time because as a small business, you also want the convenience of online bill pay and all that. It's not as easy to go to your local credit union. I ended up choosing KeyBank. They're kind of local. They're like a big local bank. But they do a lot in the community, they invest in the community, and their online's okay. But I felt like they weren't on the top 10, and it was tough because all my personal finances were at Chase. I'm just being totally honest, I'm not here to, I just say how it is. And so I really had to go through a process of divesting, and it's tough, because there's so many accounts and credit cards, and that's a big thing. Like, I don't know, is that in the B Corp?
Yes,
They talk about banking?
they ask if, who you bank with, and
Yeah.
there are certified B Corps that are banks.
There are, so I was
Climate
looking
bank,
into certified B Corp banks, so there's a,
Amalgamated Beneficial Climate,
Yep.
Climate First Bank, I believe it's called, down in Florida.
there were some
There are quite a few,
startups.
But also, so if you don't go with B Corp, you could go also with a local, as
Like
you said,
credit
credit
union.
union.
And you get a
Santander.
points for that.
You get good points.
You have big points, so if you're thinking about B Corp certification, do this. I think you have big points for this, because it's actually not easy to do when all your money's tied up and you have to go through a process, but it makes a huge difference. It's like one little change, and it actually does make a difference.
Yeah, I think one thing that makes it even harder is, so I grew up in a Polish family, we used Polish and Slavic Federal Credit Union. So basically the ATMs and the banks were pretty much in New York City, and that's it. So when I left for college, I could never get money out of an ATM without paying exorbitant fees. So it's just another way, it is a balance, unfortunately, but like, you take out cash earlier before you leave on your vacation or something.
Yep.
But yeah, local is better. But
I love it, and I actually ended up getting my small business loan from KeyBank. Their customer service team is amazing, because they really did care about small businesses. I'm not saying I got a good interest rate, but I got the loan. I got the loan, which, when you're a newbie business with nothing to show, you have to, I think you all know this, you put up your personal stuff, and then you're lucky to get a loan, and I was glad to get it, but I felt like I was being cared for. But anyway, it has nothing to do with it, but you don't get that at the big banks. They're like, oh, you're a small business, whatever, come back to us in a few years.
That's actually critical, honestly, like when I'm looking at a bank, like if you can get like financing, obviously like the quality of the bank, and like there's a lot that goes into like choosing a bank too, so those are all actually, I think, important points.
So make this part of your choice.
Is that, however, or is anybody who's trying to get those loans or trying to be certified as a B Corp
a little bit gun shy after the whole Silicon Valley Bank thing.
It's interesting because there was I'm not necessarily,
But,
but
right.
there were, but it's interesting as a side note. I mean, others might be, but there was a side note. There was some new banks, startup banks that were like, Aspiration, was that the name of it? Like, I actually got their credit card, but they didn't approve me for the bank account. I was like so upset. I'm like, I'm the eco dude. Do you know who you're talking to? And they were the first like carbon like negative bank, and there was no banks. But they actually went out of business already. Like some of these things also blew up. So it's like, yeah. So I like to look at some of these newer like footprint banks and think about it. But it actually goes to my next point. This I actually don't know a ton about, but I'm sure we'll have a lively discussion about it, is not the footprint, but the cloud. And, so number 9, we're headed down from 10 to 9. How much of the cloud is your business using? And we know, like with anyone who works in crypto or likes to trade crypto, we know actually how bad for the environment crypto is. It goes through so many servers. And as businesses too, we use a lot of that cloud as well. And so these are the things that like people don't, is that now I want to ask you every time I say something, is that in
It's
the,
not on the current.
is that on it? It
not
might
on
be in the
current
future.
version, but maybe.
It could be in the future version, because the more and more storage we all take, the amount of time we want to keep things in file electronically in the cloud, it's a huge carbon,
Oh, yeah.
it uses up a lot of carbon. It's the carbon we don't see. It's not always the carbon that's in our backyard. It's easy to see a plastic water bottle being thrown and not recycled, but we don't see some of that. And so,
So it's, a hard drive uses less than the cloud?
well, I guess if you only have enough stuff on the hard drive, but we all use the cloud, but it's about the amount of the cloud. If you hired a specialist, they could do like a footprinting for you. So if your business is trading crypto, you're using a lot of the cloud. If you are doing, triple storage of things, for example, I'm a retailer, I use Shopify. I don't have to think about anything. I'm so sure Shopify is using like the amount of crypto, because they can't lose my data. They have millions of people's data around the world who are using credit cards and shopping at your store. And so there's a lot. It's very different. I love my old timers that come into my store. And I actually went cashless recently. Again, not very eco-friendly, but I went cashless for certain reasons. And then they're like, "But you're a small business. Cash is king. Like, don't you want cash?" And I don't know. It's like even cash, when you're using an inventory management system and a point of sale system, is still tracked in terms of like IRS spending. So, but these systems are huge. I think they're the carbon we don't talk about.
Yeah, and the AI too, that's huge too,
It's
on the
probably
carbon
huge, sure.
runoff. AI will be, immense.
Sure, it's true.
I correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're saying this about the cloud, it reminds me, I think what you're talking about is they have farms, almost like a
Yes.
farm of computers, which I
Correct.
didn't understand, so that's why,
Correct.
only because I saw that program where it's shared in, where people are buying a property, it's like you see how the, not wind farms, but the other ones.
Solar farms?
Solar farms.
Yeah, they look just like
So you
that.
have the same thing, but it's with
Computers, yeah.
and people that live
Energy.
around it, they hear the noise. Can you imagine living next to like hundreds and thousands of computers next door?
Yeah, and it draws a
Yeah,
lot of energy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it
So
is.
it's not just in the cloud. You think it's like a satellite? No, when we
No,
think
it's on the
cloud,
ground.
they're boxes, they're hard drives.
Yeah.
Huge amounts.
I mean, the benefit is we don't have to back up hard drives
Crazy,
anymore. We used to
yeah.
always who's lost their photos, and I remember all that. You lose stuff, but now you don't, because everything's triple backed up in clouds or these farms.
So sorry for interrupting, but so the solution would be to basically delete all your files that you don't need.
Pretty much. I mean, I actually don't. This is the one where I actually don't know the solutions. So I'm challenging all of us, but
You're
yeah.
not gonna switch like which cloud server you're gonna use. You're not gonna switch over. Well, that one's like lower. And I will say that I had switched over to using Safari instead of using Chrome, because it uses less battery on my Mac. So I switched like that over, but you can't switch this, you're not gonna switch like which cloud server you're
You
gonna
can't
use.
switch, yeah.
So if you're not gonna switch to a cloud server, you are gonna delete all your files. So at least you're not putting that data on the cloud, it's not being like saved.
Yeah, like when you get that reminder on your iPhone, like your storage is almost full. You have two options: go delete some photos, or just pay a little bit more. We'll give you more cloud. It's like trying to make conscious decisions like that, I guess. But I'm sure there'll be consultants and people who will be helping us look at our energy consumption, and they would know more about that. And this is one I don't really have a solution, but just like the part that I'm most comfortable with is how do you be a conscious consumer. I think knowing about this and understanding it helps us be more conscious business people. And we might not have the solutions yet, but you could start the dialogue and try to learn about it. But yeah, we use a ton of energy. My energy consumption is probably less coming from my lights on and my fridges from my coffee shop and more from this. So, but we don't track it. All right, that was a tough one. I know a lot more about the other ones. So number 8, we're working our way down, is also around energy. I thought a natural segue would be to do an energy audit in your own personal space. You can get them for free now. Has anyone ever had an energy audit in their home?
Yeah.
They're great in your home. You should definitely get one in your home for free. They put this cover on your front door, and they blow all this stuff in, and then they see where all your leaks are, and you got all these coupons for people that want to repair all that stuff. But it's fascinating. It's kind of like doing your own taxes with TurboTax, and you're like, what? You learn a lot about where you're living, and if you have a home office, guess what? A lot of these things when you have a home office is a business expense. So yeah, you are allowed to make your home office more energy efficient and do that, because then it does. I just changed out all the light bulbs in my store. I'm a retail store. I have a lot of light bulbs. Things have to look good. It was like $400 or $500 just in light bulbs to change them out to become LED. So is that on a budget and a dime? Well, they last longer.
Yeah.
They were brighter. Actually, they use less wattage and they're brighter. So for retail, it was great. But it was a little bit of investment to have a longer term game, and hopefully, I'll see it on my energy bills. But doing an energy audit, that will help you know around your the LED bulbs you can change, but where you're leaking energy. I hate my space. I love my space when you come in for the vibe, right? You walk in, Eco Evolution, it's an 1860 building, old brick, and it just has this 12-foot ceilings. You see all the pipes coming down, which is pretty much the plumbing of my upstairs neighbors, but it has history. You feel the history. It also is the draftiest thing ever. It's like when I go to the back, I don't feel like I have a lot of control over the temperature control. And as a business, I would want to do a lot more investing in, I'm not there yet to invest in some of the eco stuff I would want. I have 12-foot windows in the front of my store. How can I capture that heat when it's, I would need the right kind of shades that go up and down. Remember TechnoServe? They were in Westport. I think he closed, unfortunately, but he had such a cool business that he would help your house business become more green. So you would have shades that were timed with the sun. You didn't have to do the work. And they would go up, down, and you get the most energy efficient use of natural sunlight into your space. It was great. Mine just bakes us, and it's so hot in there, you're cranking, and then my door doesn't stay open, and no one closes my door. And yeah, I probably need to invest in one of those things that just closes the door. But because I'm an eco-friendly space, I get to say, hey, can you close that door for me? It's a really big space, and people just leave it open all the time. So even in Eco Evolution, people come in and just leave the door open in the middle of the summer. But I'm mindful of it. My staff were mindful of it. And so I would get that energy audit and just see what you learn. You can get it for free, and then you can decide if you want to invest in any changes. And some of them you can get tax reductions for. So that's one. Oh yeah. Along with that, we talk a lot about this I actually love when my young staff start talking about this, because none of them really came to me as eco-friendly warriors. They're young people. Most of them are 27 and younger. So one is 16, he's my son. He's getting trained for the summer, and he's the worst actually. But when some of the 19, 20-year-olds are should we turn that machine off at night? Do you think it's gonna cost more energy to get that water boiling again in the morning, or leave it on at night? I'm I love you guys. But it is a mindset shift that they never had before. Which machines do you turn at night? True eco home people, like I know my blender has a little blue light. And so some people turn those things off or unplug them because it's just like, what do they call those phantom lights? They just draw energy, not a ton. It's not where like, if you do an audit, you're gonna be surprised where most energy is being lost through leaks and bad insulation and an old building like the one my store's in. But yeah, think about your machinery, think about your copy machines, think about the things you use for work. The coffee machine, little TV thing, and you know, maybe someone's job is, maybe if it's a small office, they're on one strip that you turn off at night. So we have some of that machinery. So something to think about. We do leave our brewer on overnight because when we open it at 6 and the store opens at 6:15, we want to quickly make a pot of coffee. So we have it. So we decided that's the one we leave on at night. And you don't even hear it. It keeps it warm, and it's probably, like they say with a car, like it would probably take, well, one, we already know when it goes cold and we flip it up, it takes 30 minutes before I can even brew a pot of coffee. So it takes that much energy to make this water really hot. But we keep that one on.
Yeah, I was told too, like we keep ours on all the time
Yeah.
because they said it was better to do that than.
It is, I mean, the
coffee
espresso
can
machine
later.
stays on all the time. I'm a little, like I realize I actually, so this is not in here, but I did, okay, I'll go back to equipment and machinery. It's not on my list, but I thought a lot about equipment and machinery when I was building out my coffee shop. And this was not on a budget because I had to pay more for everything. But when I went to get my fridges, I had the choice between the US made one and the one made in China. $2,000 difference. I took the US made one. It made me feel better. I documented it thinking, hey, if I become a B Corp, I know where I buy my stuff from. And even my espresso machine is like the most eco-friendly one. And I can't even remember why, because when I was researching it, it took me a long time to find one that was like the most eco-friendly made espresso machine, which is not the mindset of most espresso machine makers. Mine's, you know, the $20,000 one, not the home one. But even my dishwasher is the most eco-friendly dishwasher because it stores the hot water from the previous cycle and reuses it instead of draining the whole thing and starting over. So there are things out there if you ask. If you're opening up a restaurant or a store like me and you want to shop local, you go to Globe, not Web Restaurant. You go to Globe in Bridgeport and you talk to them. And when I said this is what I'm really interested in, it started a whole different dialogue. And it cost me more money. But I went for it. I made those choices early on. And I had the small business loan, so I said I'm willing to pay $2,000 more for that. They said, you know, one of the things too they said is, if a part breaks on this, you're more likely to find it. Or if a part breaks on the Chinese made thing, they might not be making those parts, or it might get stuck on a supply chain issue. So, you know, there's also upsides to shopping local, besides a carbon footprint. All right, I think we're on 7. We're working our way to 1. So here's something interesting that I do think is different than the way we think at home, and it's your own personal stuff, and then when it's your work stuff. And my number 7 is repair everything. I feel like with work, you're willing just to buy something new. It's like, oh, it's a business expense. The copy machine broke, and they're only, you know, we already know planned obsolescence. Yeah. If you haven't heard that term, planned obsolescence, like things are made to break in 2 years, and the price point's so low that doesn't matter. It's not worth fixing it. Just go buy another one. And I'm in a pinch. We have a presentation. Just go to Staples and buy a new copier. Yeah. And you know, a different mindset would be, well, fix it. Try to fix it. And guess what? It will cost you less to fix it, but it will take more of your time. I had a fix-it moment today. I fixed our mop. Literally probably $25 to go buy a new mop. So those industrial blue ugly mop things that go inside this like metal cage that's on your handle, who knows, maybe the nut fell off a long time ago and no one noticed or no one cared until the whole thing was gone. No one can find, so it was just like gone. And so I said, look, I could go buy a new one, but I'm gonna bring the mop head and this pole to my local hardware store. And stupid me actually, but this is because I'm not good at this stuff, brought just the top part in yesterday and I got the right screw and the nut, and then when I got home and I tried to put it on, the hole on the actual rod was smaller, So these are the annoying things when you repair things. So I went back to the hardware store, but I go to the local hardware store in Fairfield. I love them. They're very helpful. And it's not like Home Depot. You just walk in and say, bought the wrong one. Can you get me the right one? And it happens very fast. So again, I'm trying to teach my staff that like, we could have bought a new mop, but like, I just repaired this and it cost me $3. And that $3 is an extra set for when it breaks again. And it's sitting here labeled in the back in our toolbox. It says mop screw. So if you're the one here and it falls apart, you go get that one. So it's like another mindset. And I just think repairing things is pretty awesome. But again, the mindset is when it's your business, when it's your home, because it's your own personal expenses, we do repair things. And I find people in business are easy to replace it. Both because it's like, oh, it's an expense, we want to have them, get those expenses out there, and I don't know. So putting that out there, repair things, right?
For sure.
I hate repairing things. It was the part of opening a coffee shop in a retail store I didn't realize. Again, there's a lot I didn't realize, but I feel like I have a second home. I don't like repairing things in my first home. And now I have this whole 2,300 square foot space, and I'm in year 2 of a coffee shop, so repair and maintenance is a huge thing right now. Every 2 years, it's like you have to have your people to call because things go. But anyway, try to repair your stuff. All right, so we're down to 6. Waste management. We all love talking about waste management, right? So this is the fun part, but let's talk about recycling. Know your town's recycling rules. They're different in every single town. Go onto the website and print out the poster and go ask for it and put it in your home office, because I can't answer all the recycling questions that everyone comes to me with, because every town is different. And we do have, I don't know if she's ever called into one of your events, but her name is Susan. She's the head of CT Deep. She created the What's In, What's Out. And so if you go on to CT Deep, there's a really, it's actually cool looking and easy to use. And I think you can get a widget for it. But it's what's in, what's out. You just type it in and it tells you whether it could go into your blue bin or not in most municipalities. But at the end of the day, it has it for like the odd things. But at the end of the day, it's good just to know what is accepted in your municipality recycling system, because we know wish cycling is worse than not recycling. Did everyone get that? All right.
What was the name of the app again?
Wish cycling,
Wish cycle.
meaning like I'm just
Recycling wizard,
yeah,
is I think what it's called. Sorry.
the recycling.
interrupting
Thank you.
But I just jumped in. It's called the recycling wizard.
Okay, yeah.
And you can like type in any item and it'll tell you how to recycle it.
Yep. But wish cycling is you throw something in the bin, hoping and wishing it's going to get recycled. You actually don't know, because then what you're doing is just contaminating the waste stream, and that's like a big thing with environmentalists now, is keeping the stream clean.
There's another app, it's called Recycle CT, and I think it's I don't use it very often because I have my printout for my town, but I think it also tells you what can go, what kind of plastic can go.
That's the one I think I'm talking
You
about.
use recycle CT then too.
Yeah, so Recycle CT is the one created by, so if you, does it by Cheryl, that's right, thank you.
Yeah, what's in, what's out.
It's out, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it draws on our municipalities as opposed to like more general. And they're all different. Like I know some are single stream, some aren't. So anyway, put it in your office. I think it's like branding as well. When people come and they see that, it shows what you care about. It aligns with your values. So
And then compost too, right?
that's coming. That's coming. Right? I'm getting there. I'm getting there.
Okay.
But this also connects to other things. I'm going to say it later, but things like your ink cartridges. Get to know your local businesses. I found a place called Cartridge World. Dude, they're amazing. They're in
They give you the
Norwalk.
printer for free.
Oh, they do?
Yeah,
Just go talk to them.
we have the printers for free as long as we recycle cartridges with them.
I mean, they're actually places, and they probably don't do this. There's people who come and put ink in. So there are different types of printers, big industrial ones, and they come. This is what they used to do before plastic. They would put print ink in. But yeah, and I think they're cheaper than Staples.
You
So-
can
They
take the
deliver.
Staples
for alleged recycling. I'm not really sure if that happens, but.
Yeah, it's tough. Like you never really know what's happening. But I like this guy. His name is Gary. He's part of our Norwalk Business Chamber of Commerce, and it's just interesting when you get to know one. They'll refer you to someone else, and then you're like, wow. Not only am I being good to the earth, but I'm like really helping my local economy. So it's pretty awesome. So again, because those don't go in your blue bin. They're too small, they wouldn't get recycled in a municipality, so then it's up to you to figure out, because the material is recyclable, it's just not acceptable in our recycling system. And that's the same for a lot of things. At my store, I do have like 10 different TerraCycle boxes, just kind of for fun, that people can come and put things in, like credit cards and which ones do we have? Glue sticks.
Oh, yeah, I saw those in the
yeah.
bathroom.
Right now they're in the bathroom, like they've had different homes. Now there's a lot in the bathroom, which kind of I have the vaping pen one in the bathroom. It's like, you know, those are single-use plastics that that people who smoke don't care about.
Flossers.
I have oral, I have all that. Yeah, those little like single-use flossers, but I have an oral hygiene, anything in the oral hygiene thing you can put in there. So it's like, what's better? Using them and coming to my store to recycle them, or just not using them? Obviously not using them. That's like one of the large, when you hear people who do beach cleanups, they find a lot of those.
Wow.
So gross. Yeah. They really should be shopping Eco Evolution, because all our dental floss is in glass containers and it's all silk or bamboo floss that's compostable. So I used to put mine in my home, I didn't send it to you. I would keep my dental floss in my home compost, and then it would go into my tomato plants 2 years later. But they're natural fibers, so they just broke down. So, all right, so the next one after manage your waste, number 5 is compost. Like, do you compost? Why not? You guys compost, right? With Nick? Yeah. I compost with Nick. It's great because, again, not only do we have to take less out to the dumpster that's like down the street that we hate to do, we get to see your driver comes in once a week. We love him. He's just another cast of characters. You know, we see our mailman every day. We see our compost collection guy every Thursday, and he's trying to get into coffee and order something. So again, I think when you become more eco-friendly, you become more community-centric. You get to know your people, and it's really nice. It's really nice, and it's actually like, I'm such a small business, Nick charges me like a resident, and I think I'm paying like $35 a month. I mean, people who are, your small business can handle $35 expense a month, so you should be composting. Why not? And he'll come pick it up. It's pretty awesome. And you have less trash to manage, because they bring you your buckets, they clean the buckets, I think, right? He takes the buckets outside. Yeah.
All that.
He actually takes my coffee grinds now. That used to go to so we used to send our coffee grinds to a farm, a mushroom farm, and they grow mushrooms out of them. But that farm, all these small businesses close. It's tough, but they close. And the other local microgreen and mushroom farms, they already have their stuff. So if you know anyone that wants my coffee grinds, I get about a bucket from the floor to here a week.
So paper towels go in the compost,
You
right?
can, yeah, we can take the paper towels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
food-
better to
food
use
ser-
not paper
foods-
towels.
Food use, no like chemical products, no cleaner, no chemical, I mean, I don't think, you could use, like, that's a whole other thing, cleaning products, I don't wanna get into that, but no,
I didn't
use
get
any
into it.
chemical cleaners on the paper towels, but yeah, basically food residual or any food safe, like, cleaning product, you could use on a paper towel.
So
I
you
wanna
could never
talk-
put Bounty into compost, because
We'll take the paper towels, even though there's probably bleach all over that
Yeah.
thing, but we've opened it up, yeah, I mean, if I was gonna talk to somebody, I'd be like, yeah, you should use like a brown, usually like brown napkins. We are accepting traditional paper towels at this time, as long as there's food residual, it won't like render bleach, but there's also, our toilet paper is bleached too, right?
Not the ones I use in my store. I use it's bamboo toilet paper. It's brown.
There you go.
It has a cute. There's a lot of. I use leaves. I was in the Peace Corps. I've used leaves before. In Africa, there's like a special leaf you use. They call it natural. They call it native toilet paper. They love
Doesn't
it.
have poison ivy on it.
No, thank God. Yes.
There is a company called Mushroom that makes light shades. So it's like mushroom, but mushroom,
Yeah.
like because it's growing
Mhm.
fungus.
Mhm.
And their substrate does look like lighter coffee grinds, and I think they're based in Brooklyn. I think
Oh,
they
really?
they grow, so they're basically like lampshades.
Yep.
And they grow them in molds in different
Mhm,
sizes, and I think they're made in Brooklyn.
Alright, cool.
So if you wanna take a look at them, see if they
Yeah.
maybe need coffee grinds.
Yeah, I mean, they're a bit
They
far, they
do
probably don't wanna
need-
come.
It looked
There's so many
fabulous.
Brooklyn hipster
I know.
coffee shops, I've
Yeah,
been to a
that's
lot of
right.
them
They
to do my
probably
research.
have enough coffee grinds just from Brooklyn alone.
Where do you think my recipes come from? I go there.
Yeah.
They're always on the cutting edge of their drink, and they charge a lot too.
Yeah.
Okay, I will look into them though. Alright, I only have 5 minutes left, your auction's starting in 5 minutes, or you have to leave in 5. Alright, I'm gonna go faster, cause I still have 4, 3, 2, 1, I can do them fast. So not all businesses ship, but mine does, cause I have an online store, so we had to think about our shipping. We had to think about what kind of tape, and this is not on a budget, cause this stuff is always more expensive, but I can't ship stuff out that's not brand aligned. So we have craft tape. That's really, there's great companies that do this. The 2 that we use are No Issue. It's all like one word. You can get craft tape from them. They'll design it with your logo. You can get recycled tissue paper, which I don't tend to use all year, but during the holidays we'll get their made from recycled paper, tissue paper. And they have bags and all that stuff, compostable mailers. The other one too is they're called Eco Envelope. Do you know that company? I think it's called Eco Envelope. I wrote Green Envelope, but that's the online card thing, that's not that. Anyway, there's like 2 major companies that can do all your mailers, like in compostable mailers or craft paper. They're out there. They cost more, but for our businesses, we just do it, because that's the cost of doing business. So, oh yeah, and stickers. So I do have, like even my cards are like soy-based ink. I mean, it's all out there. It's just the choice. It's just an option. It's the more expensive option. People don't do it. But No Issue also makes, so I don't buy most of my bags. My community brings me bags. It's pretty amazing. Because whenever I'm low on bags, I go on Instagram and say, we need bags. People are psyched to bring me their bags. My only rule is smaller than a Trader Joe bag, and we love handles. And I get tons of bags, and we put a compostable Eco Evolution sticker on it. And it has other people's brands on it, and for my business, that works.
Yeah.
For like a Darien boutique, they want their brand. But for me, it works. It's like, hey, we're recycling bags. People love it, and they say, we want to bring you back bags. And they do. And so it actually it saves me a lot of money. I don't actually have to buy bags except for the holidays, when I get like a ton of bags. So know that. So my number 3 was really going back to Cartridge World, is know your small businesses and support your small businesses. 1, it's a carbon footprint issue. So if you can avoid Staples, and if you can avoid, the big box ones for your office supplies, Staples has gotten better. We do have computer paper that is recycled. It's all more expensive. They have, they have a whole line of things that are made from recycled paper. So they've gotten better. But it's very hard to find like your local business supply place. And growing up, that was my favorite store, was Huntington Business Supply, which is probably not there anymore. But Cartridge World is there.
Staples isn't around anymore either.
Staples?
Yeah,
It is in Fairfield.
Yeah, it's right in Norwalk.
Fairfield, they're around, but it's, try to think, are there local businesses you can get your supplies from? So your pens, your papers, all that stuff, because it makes a difference. When you support your locals, the carbon footprint's down, you're supporting your local economy. It just makes sense. All right, number 2 and then number 1. Number 2 is merch. Merch is huge for small businesses, especially if you're a retail store. And it's tough. I've had, so most of you will think about your business cards. It's a brand statement when you have a craft card that looks different. So it might say in there, printed with soy-based ink. It's a great statement. And as a retail store, everyone wanted me to have merch. And I'm like, I'm the eco dude. Last thing I want is see Eco Evolution t-shirts at Goodwill 3 years from now. So I didn't do merch, and then I decided to. And guess what? I went to Goodwill, we bought shirts, and we silkscreened our own logo on it. And it's really fun. None of them are the same, they're all different colors. My favorite one, I have a few of them, but mine it says Boss on top, because it's a Hugo Boss. So it says Boss. And then I have something say Staff in the back, because it's like camp shirts. So we found like some cool shirts that we made. It's kind of funny, but the ones that have like polo logos, they go fast. People have supported our business, but I'm not doing hats. I have some stickers, but it's tough because everyone wants you to have merch. But just think about your own merch. There are interesting ways and creative ways to spread brand awareness. It doesn't always have to be through your own printed bag. You could put a sticker on someone else's. And the last one, because I just thought it was apropos for what I do, is thinking about your coffee, tea, and water in your space. You know, they're things we all drink every single day. And think about it, you know, if you're using Keurig, you're in trouble. Yeah, you shouldn't, no one here is using Keurig cups, but everyone does. Put pressure on your offices that do. You know, I've actually worked consulting for medium-sized businesses to help them go more low waste.
There's a recycled Keurig.
There is, but it's hard when you're in a bigger, like a 200-person office building. And so what you do when you're the consultant, you look at their Aramark contract and you call the Aramark representative and say, they have 2 more years of their contract and they're not gonna renew with you unless you give them the bean to, like, you make some deals. So you have to negotiate for what you want. Because Aramark also has bean grinders, like I think like you have it grinds to cup.
Yeah, well, yeah, we originally had that and then we put in the Keurig, but for, like, it's supposed to only be used when the community manager made coffee, but.
It's tough, you know, when I presented to this small business that they were an energy efficiency company, but they weren't eco-friendly inside their own space. And when I presented to the staff, here's some of my ideas, I'm not moving it forward, you guys are gonna create a committee, people wanted to be on the committee. And when I said, I'm trying to get you guys a bean to cup machine, everyone exploded and clapping, because no one, like, the taste of some of that stuff is terrible. Of the Keurig cups. They're like, yeah, we want fresh coffee. So they were psyched, and it's the right thing to do. But think about your tea, loose tea bags. Think about your how you're making your coffee, and think about your water. Don't use the bottles. Don't buy plastic water bottles. You know, buy a filter if you want. But having lived all over the world, I still believe that, especially in Fairfield County, we have some of the cleanest water around. I'm like, I drink pure tap water, I don't really care. There's other stuff in there. So, and then the bonus one is just don't greenwash. You know, it's weird because everyone, like, I hardly advertise how sustainable our coffee shop is. And I could. There's a lot that goes behind the scenes in our coffee bar. We create less than half a bag of trash in my whole store a day. It's not like written anywhere and people want me to. But I'm kind of like, don't greenwash. So, like, if I'm eco-evolution, everyone should expect that of me. And then when people come on smaller tours and they want to learn from us, we teach them how we do it. And it's mostly was just a conscious decision we made in the planning phase. Or an inflection point where you say, okay, we've gotten kind of complacent. Let's take a moment and let's do our own little walkthrough and say, what can we do better? And that's how you go green in your small biz and in your home office.
You also have the soap maybe to mention.
Yeah, I didn't go into like cleaning products and all
the
that,
soap
but like,
just in particular,
you know, like
this
my
is-
store is a soap, we have a refillery, you know, or you could work with a local, like, cause I have the wholesale account, cause I'm a reseller, so even the same soap, there is a way I can buy soap here that, you know, you have your own soap that you can refill. Cause I don't know how people do that in larger offices. But yeah, we have people today who came and got laundry soap, hand soap, dish soap, it's all in, like, you know, comes in big things and they fill up their jars with it.
We have, for water, we use, have you heard of Go Pure?
Oh, yeah.
Go Pure pods, so that was a friend of mine who's a member here. Her husband is the reseller, but it's like, kind of like little Brita pods, so you'll see it in the water, and it has like a charcoal or something, and you can just, it lasts like 6 months, and you just can put it in the water. So it's a great way, because we don't have any bottled.
That's great.
Yeah.
There's no need to, and it's in glass, which is great.
Yeah.
I mean, every time you make a decision, if you're a conscious consumer, this wasn't part of my presentation, but this is my planner. It's 100% recycled and it's curbside recyclable because there's no spiral. So at the end of the year, I can recycle it. And they're also a B Corp. They're in California.
Yeah.
This is a Wisdom Supply Company. They're one of the only like school supply company that is like all recyclable, everything. So every year I get a new calendar, except they really messed me up this year because they changed their layout of the week. So they moved like Sunday to this side, and now when I go do things on my iPhone, I'm always a day off. It's like the weirdest thing. Still haven't caught up with that. Anyway, that has nothing to do with eco-friendliness, but there's always, like, just think through your choices. There's always there's always another, come speak to me, come get my card and get a free ice cream. And thanks for having me, appreciate it.
You're quite
Thank you.
welcome.
Thanks.
Any questions from anyone? Any, before we conclude?
And I can send a list if you want, I don't think they're like, I feel like if I wrote the list down, it's like, that's not that impressive, but it's the conversation around it.
Tea bag.